I'm Karen Rice and this tutorial is part of my sketchbook series, and this painting is of some daisies and I'm using pen and wash with a very simple palette and just one brush. I've kept the materials really simple, and if you'd like a full list of these materials, please see the description below, click show more or the little down arrow and it will take you to the description, and there are Amazon links if you'd like to purchase any of them. I'm using a very simple colour palette, grey, orange, yellow and blue, so you can just pick your version of those colours, but if you want more information about what I've used, again see the description below. And here is the gorgeous reference photograph. I was really inspired by this photograph, but if you want to use your own sort of daisy photograph or paint from your imagination, just go for it. So shall we get started? I'm using a fine liner waterproof pen, 0.5mm, but you can use any sort of pen, and if you don't have a waterproof one, maybe sketch in the daisies with a pencil, paint them and then use the pen at the end once your painting is dry. When you're sketching, try to use dots and dashes, don't use full clean lines, because if you make a mistake it's hard to correct it, whereas when you do dots and dashes and short lines you can really disguise any mistakes. For drawing templates, longer tutorials with lots more tips and techniques and lots more voiceovers, why not think about joining my Patreon membership? Just click the link in the top right hand corner of this video and it will give you some more details. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. Just drop me a line in the comments section below. Once you finish drawing in your painting, you can start painting the centres, and I'm working light to dark. I'm using my size 6 brush and I'm painting on some yellow in these centres. I'm actually mixing a bit of orange now with that yellow, dropping it in wet in wet, just sort of making sort of little textured marks as well. Once you've finished painting in your centres, wet your background. I'm using my size 6 brush because this painting is quite small, and I'm just cutting into those petals. Don't worry too much, you can leave little white background spaces with pen and wash. It's absolutely fine. It's got that lovely sketchy feel about it. And what you do now is just drop in some light and mid greens, wet into wet, using your size 6 brush, mixing some yellows and some blues and just having fun. Remember to use the tip of your brush to cut in to really define those petals. Your paint is damp, why not use the bottom of your tube of paint or a plastic card and scratch into your sketching paper. Be careful because you don't want to tear it, but I'm just creating some very thin lines. Just do this in one area once, don't over sort of scratch or you'll drive a hole into your watercolour sketching paper. But it's quite nice because it creates some very thin stem lines. I've allowed my painting to dry and I'm just building up some darks around the centre of the flowers on the left hand side, using some orange mixed with a touch of blue, using my size 6 brush and creating little bits of texture using the tip of the brush, painting little dots mostly to the left hand side, and then using a very dilute ultramarine with a tiny touch of orange to create a little bit of a cast shadow. You could use the bottom of your tube of paint or a plastic card to lift off some of this damp paint, and it creates sort of lighter foliage and leaves. I've dried my painting off and I'm painting in some of the stems and some of the leaves using darker greens. You could use the grey and the yellow or the blue and the yellow, and just sort of flicking these, especially in the foreground area, to give your painting a little bit of depth. And I've just had a little, sort of a bit of a mid-green there just to kind of balance it out a little bit with some of the yellow and the grey. Make sure your painting's absolutely dry. I'm just painting some shadow colours on the petals using the blue with a touch of orange, and now I'm using a little bit of water to dilute this colour even more so. Try to leave lots of white, almost exaggerate it, because you'll end up with a blue flower. So if you want that white daisy look, less is more. I'm just going to finish off my painting now with a spatter. I'm going to spatter some of the yellow so it looks like little wildflowers around these daisies. I'm going to use some orange as well to sort of harmonise the colours, because I've used a lot of orange in the centre. And I thought it'd be quite nice to use some white paint. You don't have to do this. I really like using sort of lighter colours on top of my background wash as well. So I've got some white gouache, but you could use white watercolour paint as well. You need to water it down a little bit for it to come off on your brush, and when you're spattering, just give it a good tap with your index finger on your other hand so the paint comes off. And it's sometimes a good idea to practice this as well. I'm removing my framing tape. If it tears your paper, try and blow dry it beforehand. It softens the glue and it helps prevent the paper tearing. But sometimes sketching paper is very delicate, so just be careful of that. I'm signing and dating my little painting now. I'm actually giving it a title, Daisies. Quite nice to do that. It's like a little sort of visual diary almost. I really hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial, and I hope it's inspired you to get your sketchbooks out or just your watercolours and have a go at a little painting. If you'd like to see more tutorials like this, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll get updates of my latest videos. Thank you so much for watching. Happy painting. Bye for now.